Hello YouTube, and hello everybody watching this video that I have here. Today I have a generator, Champion generator. I'll give you the model and everything in a little while when I start working on it. Basically it doesn't run, needs a carburetor to be removed and cleaned through, have the fuel inspected, maybe even drained out and replaced. But we're going to go through that in a minute. I just wanted to let everyone know, thank you very much for watching my channel, my videos. If you like what you see here, which hopefully you do, hopefully some of this stuff can help you out in your little DIY projects and repairs and any questions you have. If you do have any specific questions or anything, please comment below. Let me know. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to help if I can. And if you do enjoy watching this stuff, I want to invite everybody to go to Facebook and find Wicked Repairs in Facebook and join me there. A lot of the stuff will be the same videos and everything that I have here. Some might be different. I might do different posts of photos and stuff that I don't do on here. I am a motorcycle technician, motorsports technician, I guess you could say, for a little over 15 years now. And I have been started off in a Yamaha only dealership, and then I went to a multi-line dealership, and I have been gold certified as a Yamaha technician, certified in their wave runners. I went down to Georgia to Yamaha school for both of them, and as well as a few other things. And basically I'm a gold certified also in Polaris off-road units, and gold certified in Polaris slingshots, and basically like silver certified in everything else that I dealt with as far as Indian motorcycles, Victory motorcycles, stuff like that. So I have been doing this for a while. Still things that throw you for loops sometimes. It's never a dull moment in this industry, but I have decided to go venture off and start my own business. So I'm slowly working out of my house right now for what I have here. And hopefully in the future I'm going to be getting a big garage put in my land here, and get this ball rolling as quick as we can. I do have commercial property here where my residential home is, and I have enough land to build a good sized building and have my business right here. So that is my hopes and dreams for the future. And I just wanted to show you business card that I have made up. I have business cards, I have t-shirts that I made, which I'm not wearing it right now because it's very hot out here, so I have a cut-off sleeve Led Zeppelin shirt. But anyhow, I'm inside my 10x20 carport that I've been doing most of my work out of, because I can be out of the sun, out of the rain if it's raining. So it's a good thing to have for me for now until I have my other building, and I have a couple sheds that I work out of as well. So anyhow, just wanted to thank everybody and invite everybody to my Facebook page, and hopefully you like what you see here. Hopefully you'll continue to watch. Hopefully you will hit that subscribe button if you have not already, and subscribe to my channel. There's going to be a lot of motorcycle repairs, ATV repairs, generators, weed whackers, lawnmowers, you name it. And I might have the occasional review or something if you've watched my previous videos of a pool review that I did for my kids' pool. And there'll be a lot of DIY projects and little things that I do around the house, and which I like to do. I haven't done a camper video in a little while, but I'm working on it. I'm going to get caught up with some stuff and try to get some stuff done in there, because I do enjoy doing that and I need to get it done. So without further ado, I'm going to turn you over to the generator and we'll start working on that. Alright, so what we have here is a Global Power Equipment Champion 196cc generator. It is a 3500 max watt, 3000 continuous watt rated machine. It has 4 120 volt outlets, and what we're going to be doing is taking off that carburetor and cleaning it. So what we have to always do first is make sure the fuel is in the off position. And once the fuel's in the off position, we can start taking stuff apart. And to take off the airbox lid is as simple as just a couple of clips here. Get the airbox lid off, and you see the air filter is in there. Always want to make sure that that is dry and clean. If it is oil saturated or very dirty, you know, replace it. And so I'm going to take that out, and we're going to take out these 4 screws. It's either a 8mm socket or a number 2 Phillips head. So I'm going to start doing that. A little wet down here. It's not bad, so we could probably clean it out, blow it out with the air hose, and be okay with reusing that. There is some oil residue in here. I'm gonna clean up all that stuff, of course. Take this breather hose right out of the top of the air box. And there's another one right here. Pull those out. And we're gonna have 2 10mm nuts here, and there's a 10mm bolt on the back side that comes in through this way. Slide the air box off. Take the fuel line clamp off. Always be careful, there might be some fuel that comes out of here. We'll take a little rag, nothing really came out, so little dribbles. What I do is I pop the carburetor off. I'm going to take off very carefully the spring and the rod for the governor and remove the carburetor off. If you tilt it, there's probably fuel in here, so I suggest to either drain it out from here previously or have a container ready to be able to you know, pour any gasoline that's inside this carburetor out. And we're going to start to open it up and get down to it. So I drained the carburetor bowl, and the fuel that was in it came out red as can be. Red fuel is basically the worst state of fuel that fuel can be. So it's very old fuel that was in here. So I'm going to turn the fuel petcock on, and it's not even flowing. Not even flowing. There is, I don't know, it's got to be at least a half gallon of fuel in this tank. It should come right out. You see it dribbled out. I don't know if you noticed that it was kind of pinkish red, but yeah, probably gonna have to take this petcock apart, and maybe the screen in there is clogged or dirty. I did take the top of the, you know, the gas cap off, pulled out the filter. There's a couple things of debris in there. I kind of cleaned them out. The inside of the tank looks okay. Just has gross, old, nasty fuel in it. So I'm going to drain the fuel tank and take that petcock apart and inspect that and make sure that that's not impeding on flow of fuel to the carburetor. Alright, so I thought there would be plenty of fuel in there for it to just flow out, but apparently it was not angled enough here with as low fuel as it was. But look at that fuel. Disgusting. So we're going to drain that all out. I guess the petcock's okay. Shut it off, it does stop. Turn it on, it does flow. So that's a good thing. I'll probably take this little cap off anyhow and make sure there's no debris or anything inside there that's going to get into the carburetor after we clean it. So, but for now I'm going to let this drain out, and then we're going to start taking that carburetor apart. Alright, so we got the carburetor on the bench. As I mentioned before, I did drain the carburetor bowl already. That bolt has a little washer on there, so make sure that that washer stays with that. I've already loosened up the 10mm bolt on the bottom that holds the bowl in place, just to make it a little easier. And on there's also a little gasket too. Make sure that that little O-ring or gasket, whatever yours may be, is in good condition. I'm going to pull off the bowl, and you have the float bowl gasket that's here also. If you're going to be reusing it, as I am here, and this one's actually in okay shape, just be careful with it. Pull up off to the side and take this pin out here where the float bowl is, or where the float rather. Pull the float out with the needle valve attached to it. Got a little spring, so don't lose that spring on it. And just keep an eye on the orientation. The spring stays on the bottom of the float. So I always take those off and just inspect the tips, make sure that they're in good condition. It's never a bad idea that if you think there might be an issue with the float itself, stick it in a cup of water and make sure it doesn't sink, that it has any pinholes or cracks in it that you might not see. This one, by just looking at it, seems to be okay, but I will do that to make sure. I'll just get a little cup, put some water in it, put the float bowl in it while I'm working on the carburetor, make sure this thing doesn't sink while I'm cleaning the carburetor. I have to get a different screwdriver here. The ones I grabbed are too small and too big, but we're going to take that jet out inside here. And you're going to also take the idle adjust off here. And we're going to clean through everything that we possibly can in here. Make sure there's no debris. We're going to spray through it with carburetor cleaner as well as compressed air. You're going to want to spray into those jets. Make sure if it goes in one way, it comes out another way. So we're going to start. We'll grab a screwdriver and we'll continue to clean through this carburetor. Alright, so I got a screwdriver, took out that main jet, took out the engine idle adjust, and then right where that hole is on top, that's where I removed that piece. And you always want to make sure that this is clean and clear, and make sure the O-rings that are on it are in good condition. And we're going to start to clean through this, and I'm just going to spray in through there, and through these ports, through your float, your needle valve hole where the seat is. You're going to spray through here. I'm going to spray through all of those orifices, and with carburetor cleaner, and then with compressed air. And then we'll stick it back together, put it back on the machine, and hopefully it runs. Always be careful. These are... I try to, when I can, reuse some of these gaskets, because it's usually not an issue to reuse them as long as they're not ripped. I mean, it's recommended to replace them, but if you don't have them on hand, as I do not, just be very careful. Spraying carburetor cleaner and getting it all over these gaskets will definitely deteriorate them. So just be cautious of that. Go slow doing it. Make sure you do a thorough job, and yeah, just be careful. I failed to mention, but this part here also goes inside where the main jet is. So the main jet will sit right up against here. This flat part sticks out, and that kind of tapered part, it's not really tapered, but it has a little bevel on the end, goes down. This is called an emulsion tube. You always want to make sure that all these holes are clean and clear. So take that out and clean that as well. Just wanted to show you that. Alright, so we cleaned through everything. I just want to show you, when you put this piece in here, you can see inside, let's see if I can point to it. See right here, there's a little piece of the carburetor that's flat. This flat side of the jet needs to be up against that in the right orientation. And it's kind of hard to not have it in that orientation, but if you try to get it in and it doesn't go in, it's probably because it's the wrong way and it's stopping it from going in all the way. So I put just a tiny bit of grease on those O-rings just to make sure that they slip in there good without tearing or any issues or rolling them or anything. It feels good in there right now. So we're gonna start. I already put in the emulsion tube and the main jet in there. So I'm going to take the needle valve and the float, put that back in there, and put the float bowl on, and then we'll be putting it back on. This piece here was very stiff on this. It seems to be a lot better now, but I could barely move it at first. So, you know, always a good thing to check that to make sure that the choke flap is working properly here, and make sure it's not seized. Alright, so I already started sliding the carburetor on, and basically I started sliding it onto the studs, and I put the rod and the spring on here for the governor before actually compressing it in to seat it into its place properly. I did clean the air filter, sprayed it off the compressed air. It's dry as can be. There's only a little bit of oil on it, which is normal. That's what the crankcase breather is for, and sometimes it might pump some oil into the airbox. If there's a lot of oil, there's probably an issue. If there's a little bit, it's normal. It could also be from an issue of being overfilled with engine oil, and if it's overfilled, it's going to go out the crankcase breather into your airbox. It's normal on anything, so that's it. Basically, we got that. I'm going to pop that in. There was a little bit of oil inside the airbox, just a little residue from the same situation, so I just cleaned that off as well. And so we're going to slide that on. Well, you know what? Let's put on the fuel line first here. I've already drained all the bad fuel out, and I flushed some fresh fuel through it. Kind of sloshed up the tank and got it out, and it started coming out really clear. So that's a good thing. So we know the tank is clean. I know there's no, I did inspect it inside, there's no rust inside or anything like that, which is always a good thing to look for, because it's been sitting around for a long time, as many of these do, since generators only get used ever so often. Sometimes you can run into issues of you know, the fuel tank inside rusting out. So especially from old fuel, it's adapted a lot of moisture, and it creates rust. So if you don't pay attention to that and inspect the fuel tank and you have rust in there, then you might be cleaning your carburetor for nothing. You can clean the carburetor all you want. If you have rust in your tank and it's going by you know, any filters or anything like that, and it's getting in there, it's going to go right in your carburetor and plug up your jets, and it's not going to be any good. You'll be doing it again and again and again until you flush the tank and clean it. Put the airbox cover on, tighten up the bolt in the back. Tighten up these nuts. is in the correct orientation. And of course, come to this side, make sure that, let's see if I get the camera angle here right, make sure that you connect the breather hoses back into the air box. And the hole sizes are significantly different, so shouldn't be an issue as to which one goes where. I might need both hands for this. Usually there's a little mark on the hose, you know, from it sitting in there for a while, that you know where to push it in, so it doesn't have to go in super far. You want to make sure that they're in there. It's giving me a little trouble, so I'm going to grab it with some pliers or something and try to push it in. There we go, tough little bugger. Alright, so I'm going to put fresh fuel in it and turn the fuel petcock on, and we're going to start it. I want to show you this real quick, because one thing I didn't ever do was check the oil on this, and you have to check oil level on these. If they're not at the proper level, they might not even run. So I decided to take this check off, and look at that. Full of gasoline inside the motor. Full of gasoline. So we got to get rid of that first, otherwise it will never run right. The thing will smoke like crazy, might not even run. So I'm going to let that drip out for a while, then I'm going to actually pull the drain bolt, and we're going to drain all of the oil gas that's been mixed inside here. I'm going to change the oil and then run it. So that's where the drain is. On this particular machine, it's a 12mm drain bolt. So see how bad that is. I mean, it looks just like gas. There's barely any oil consistency. There's probably more fuel than there is oil. So I'm gonna drain this so you can see it's pretty much done. There's a drain on the other side. You know, I'm gonna tip it up a little bit and get the rest out and put some fresh oil in it. Alright, so what I did here was, after draining the oil and fuel out of the engine, I left the drain bolt open and the fill cap open, and I let it sit for about an hour. I actually sprayed with compressed air and blew through the crankcase just to try to get some excess out, which it did. And then I let it air dry just to get any fuel fumes out of there, and added the proper amount of oil, and just turned the fuel on, got the kill switch on. Might have to give it a little choke to get it running, and I'm gonna start it here and see what happens. Hopefully it fires right up good. Set it down a second here. It puffed out a little smoke, but probably normal. There's probably some stuff in the exhaust that's going to burn off. I have a heat gun here, smoking a little bit. Assuming but hoping that will clear out. Starting to get a little less smoky, so we'll just run it for a while and it'll clear out and be good. So she's all done. After about a minute of running, it didn't smoke anymore, and so it cleared out. So it was definitely just residue of oil and fuel that may have been inside the exhaust. What I probably will do after it cools down is take off these two screws and take out the spark arrestor and just clean that out, just to make sure that there's you know, nothing there or any clogs. But I bet any fuel and smoke that went in there probably cleaned everything out. But I'll take that out and inspect it real quick once it cools down. Another thing I did after I ran it for about 5 minutes, and probably saw me in the video, might not have heard me because it's loud, but I checked all the outlets with my heat gun. Everything worked good. What I did right at the end, basically, after running it for a while, I turned the fueling off and I just ran the machine until it died and ran out of fuel. I mean, you can do that, or you can just shut it off and, you know, drain the fuel out. So you know, that's basically your best options of not having this carburetor gum up again. One thing I will suggest with the metal tank, and this goes for anything, motorcycles, generators, whatever, I suggest to, when you have it stored and not using it, I know the fuel goes bad quickly. Shelf life of fuel is like 14 days, but stabilize it with a good stabilizer. I do like to use Yamaha stabilizer. I've done a lot of testing and stuff with many different ones, and it seems to be the best to me. But the best thing to do is to fill up your fuel tank at least, you know, full 9/10 of the way at least, and stabilize it. run it for a little bit so that the stabilizer gets into the carburetor, and then, you know, shut the fuel off, let it run dry, whatever. That's probably your best chances of you know, not adapting any moisture. If you have your fuel tank full of fuel and there's no room basically for it to adapt any moisture, you're probably not going to. And stabilizing it makes the fuel last a lot longer, and shutting the fuel petcock off and running it dry or draining the float bowl is going to ensure that there's no fuel inside of your carburetor that's going to get gummed up. So that's basically it. We're done here. Hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Please hit that subscribe button. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you do like watching my videos and you want to follow me around a little bit more, go to Facebook, search Wicked Repairs, and you'll see me there. Thank you very much.